We're on Samach Chesed Beis, and when I went over yesterday's Amud, this Amud, which I hadn't had a chance to prepare before, I saw that I didn't say everything right, so I figured let's go through it again quickly and continue on Samach Tes because we're in the middle of a sugi anyway. So Zak the Mishnah. Ben Seira Meira Me'emes Hinasa Be'Seira Meira. When is a Seira Meira considered that he could come into the Bar Chiyuva to become Ben Seira Meira if he does the things that a Ben Seira Meira does to make himself Ben Seira Meira? Nishavish Te Saris, from when he has two Saris, then he's a Gadol. Not Yaakov Zaken Hatachtin V'loi Ha'elyain. It's Yaakov Zaken Hatachtin V'loi Ha'elyain. But when he has this full complement of hair by his genitals, the Mishnah, the Gemara will discuss exactly where that is. That's why it says Zaken. And Shenemar, how do you know that it's when he's a gadol? Ki yil ish ben. When a person has a ben v'loi bas, so that means a son but not a daughter. A daughter can't become a bas seira meira. Ben v'loi ish. Ben is man, but not an ish. And that the Gemara is going to discuss exactly what that means. And the Gemara finishes. The Mishnah finishes katan pater shleibal l'klam mitzvos. A katan is going to be pater because he is.
The pater.
Yeah. Okay. In fact, the Gemara katan menon the pater. How do you know katan is pater? Yeah, that's the Gemara's question. In fact, we already said in Mishnah, of course, that's why cotton is pater. Besides, where do we ever see that the Torah says that a cotton is going to be chayiv, that over here you should need a pasuk to pater? And for the Gemara, no. This is what we're saying. Is it the reason that a Ben Seira Meira gets killed because he did an Avera? No, that's not why. Because he didn't do much of an Avera. He ate some wine, he drank some wine, he ate some meat. Not such an Avera. Why is he getting killed? Yeah. Al-Shem Seifei Nerag. He's getting killed for Al-Shem Seifei. And the Kivan Al-Shem Seifei Nerag, and since he's getting killed Al-Shem Seifei, Afil Katanami. You should therefore have a svara to say that Katan also should be chayiv because he's also going to have the same sight.
He's showing the same traits.
Yeah, he's going to have this, and therefore he's going to have the same result. And besides that, there's another reason why you should think that Katan should be chayiv because it says ben v'loi ish is Katan mashma. When it says ben v'loi ish, a son who's not a man is mashma that should be a Katan.
Right, not someone who both say sorry.
Right. So then, how do we know that you're going to be pater? And for the Gemara, Amar Yehuda Marav, Amar Krav V'chiyil Ish Ben Hasamach L'Grasa Shelesh. Yehuda Marav says it says in the pasuk V'chiyil Ish Ben, and it says Ish and Ben close to each other. It means a Ben Hasamach L'Grasa Shelesh, a Ben who's close to the Gvura of Ish, who's a full grown man. So it means he's samach to Rosh Shalesh.
We're talking about two different people over here.
Say again?
We're talking about two different people. Yeah. Plus, I gotta say this language.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Ben, the man has a son. So it means that it's now not connecting the man and son.
Let me. I hear what you're asking me. Let me read. Say to you a little differently. Le'ish. And when he'll be a man, ben a Seira Meira, this son is a Seira Meira. In other words, when this son becomes a man, he becomes a man, and according to this Pshat, according to Yehuda Marav, we're going to see it a little later on in the Gemara even more clearly, according to Yehuda Marav, when the pasuk says Ish, that's talking about the kid, it's not talking about the father. Ish ben, when the ben becomes an Ish, then he's going to be chayiv. So therefore, that's how we know not a katan. Okay, and so an important point there you're underlining because the Gemara is going to bring down in a minute that it's not so pashut. So let's go back to the Gemara. Until the zaken hatachtan is full. And it's full here or there. In fact, the Gemara zak the braysa. Tani Reb Chia learned in the braysa. Yaakov atara until the atara is the end of the aver, is full of here, which doesn't normally happen biologically, and therefore Kiasra Avdimi Amar. When Avdimi came, he explained Rav Chia, this means Hakafas Gid v'lo Hakafas Beitzim, that the hair is on the top part next to the Gid, but not by the underneath by the Beitzim, because that taka takes longer. So that's what Rav Chia was saying. Okay. Amar Rav Chisda, Katan Shaholid Ein B'noi Nasa Ben Seira Meira. A Katan who has a baby, his son can't become ben Sarah Meira. Shnemar Kia Ish Ben. When a man has a son, Ish Ben Ben Ben. Ish has a son, but not a Ben has a son. So if a person had a son when he was a katan, so the guy was, let's say for argument's sake, 11 and a half, okay, and he had a son, and that son grows up, and he's 13, and he's Zelil V'Seive, and he is you want to make him Ben Sarah. You can't, because he was born when the father was a katan. Now, Vais the Chayser of Chisda, that he holds that a person who's a kid could still have babies, could still have children. Fact the Gemara.
So as far as Hashem Sefer should apply even if a katan. As far as Hashem Sefer should apply even.
Yeah, but they have exercise custom here. I'll tell you. We'll see on the end of today's daf. The Gemara says a similar question. The Gemara says, "Why are you telling me a bas is the Mishnah said ben v'lei bas, right? The daughter can't be a Sarah Mara, bas Sarah Mara. Why can't the bas be a Sarah Mara? She'll do the same thing. She'll be eating, she'll be drinking, and then she'll go be mizana with people to raise money, just like he would go and rob people to raise money. She's going to go to be mizana with people to raise money so that she can get her zel basar and seviyayin. So why not? And the Gemara says you're right. Be'etzem asfara she should be, but it's g'der sakasav. So that's why I say the same thing over here. You're right. Be'etzem and svara it should be. It's a g'der sakasav. So anyway, so the Meister of Chisda says you learn from the pasuk here leish ben v'lo ben ben. I just want to point out that when you see how Rav Chisda learns the pasuk, it says here leish when a man has ben a son. According to him, the ish is going on the father, not on the son. According to Rabbi Yehuda Marav before, that's the pasuk shot in the pasuk. According to Rabbi Yehuda Marav before, when it says ish, that's talking about the son, right? Ki'il ish ben, when the ben becomes an ish, right? Okay. Fact the Gemara. How could you say from Rav Chisda ish ben v'loy ben ben? You need it for Rabbi Yehuda Marav, who said that ki'il ish ben asamach l'grasa shalish. How can you say that this drasha is coming to tell you for Rav Chisda? Mar says no, you're right. The etzem, you need the both drashas. But you could learn out from both anyway. Why? In Kain le'makrak he ben leish. If the pasuk only wanted to say, that the halacha of Rav Yehuda Marav that when the son becomes a gadol, then it should have said very straight. Ki ben leish. When a son becomes a man, when he becomes bar mitzvah, then he became a Sarah Maris. That would have been very straight. My kiyil ish ben. Why does it say kiyil ish ben? Which allows us to say it both ways. Allows us to turn kiyil ish ben, that ish is talking about the son, that when the ben becomes an ish, and kiyil ish ben when a man has a son and not a son has a son. Shma mino lech Rav Chisda. So it's coming to tell you like Rav Chisda of loy ben ben. Maybe not. Maybe you're saying this wrong. Maybe it's only for Rav Chisda and not for Rav Yehuda Marav. How do you know it's for both? And for the Gemara in Kain nemakra ben ish. The Zohar should have said Kiya ben ish, when there is a son of a man, which is telling you a ben of a man and not a ben of a ben. My leish ben. Why did it say leish ben? It's flipped it around so you can learn it both ways. Shmami not tarti. So we hear from here both things. Okay. Now Rav Chisda, who said that a child could have a boy could have a baby, Upliga the Rabbah, he argues on Rabbah. The Amar Rabbah says, Katan animal, the Katan cannot have kids. Shenamar, like the pasuk says, in ein ish goyal. If a man doesn't have a goyal, what's the case? The case is that a man stole from another man, and he swore that he didn't steal it. He's nishbal shekar. Allah is he has to return the he has to return it to the man. But what happens if the guy died and if in English he has no yarshim that you can take it from, that you can give it to? What does the guy do? Right? Halacha is I'm sorry, the you give it to the kayanim and so on. But the practical Gemara, is there such a thing as a person who doesn't have a Yerush? Go all the way back to Yaakov Avinu. You're going to find the cousin, right? Maybe your 37th cousin once removed, but he's going to be a cousin. How could your person doesn't have a Gael? Ella begezel ger kasam daber. You know who the pasuk is talking about? Somebody who stole from a ger, and then he didn't return it, and he swore b'sheker that it wasn't, that he didn't have it, and then he's coming to do tshuva. And in the meantime, the ger died, and he has no yarsha. So v'amar Rachman, and the Torah says, Isha tetzarach lachzar alav. Im yesh legoylin. You have to go check if a man has goylin. In other words, if the guy's a gadol, the ger is a gadol, then you have to check if he has goylin, if he has yarshin. V'im lav katan. I'm sorry, im yesh legoylin v'im lav. If he has goylin or not. Because maybe he had a baby. Maybe this ger was by somebody and has a baby, and now that baby is his yerish. But katan, if it's a ger katan, if this person that you stole from was a katan, you don't have to go check on him. Because we know that he has legailin, because a katan is not moiled. That's what we learn out from the pasuk. But if he's a katan, then we know that he doesn't have a gailin. You don't have to go check.
Maybe his father was the guy Russell.
He was a ger. He was a ger himself.
No father.
No father.
He himself.
Yeah. It could have been a situation like we had a couple of blats, more than a couple of blats ago, where someone was harasa shalei b'kedusha v'lei dasa b'kedusha, for example, right? His mother's not yarshining him, right? Or his mother died. I don't think his mother yarshins him anyway. No, his mother's not yarshim. No, so he has no yarshim. So that's Rabba's raya that a katan is not violent. Frak Gemara is ve'abaya bayas the kasha. Ish. It says in the pasuk ish. What's this talking about? It's talking about a shifcha nefrefa slash if someone who's bayla a shifcha. Ein le'ala ish. I only know an ish, a man who's over bar mitzvah. Ben teshan v'yem echad shoroi l'biyah minayin. How do I know a 9-year-old in a day who's roi for biyah? How do I know that he could be chayiv in this? Tamalemer v'ish. It's a riboy v'ish. Now it says. The ish, and that means it's talking about even a katan as long as he's ben tesviyam echad. Rabbah said a katan's not moiled. So how could you have this situation? You see from the pasuk in the Farish, and it's talking about even from a drasha, it's talking about even a ben tesviyam echad. Amrulay, so Rabbah said back, yesh lo yivein moiled. He's roi for biyah, but he's not going to have. His biyah is not going to be a biyah that leads to kids. He's like tvua, like grain.
It didn't mature.
Yeah, that didn't grow a third. That if you go and take the seeds from this wheat and you try to plant that, that's not going to grow. It didn't grow enough when it was on the plant, right? For it to be moiled to be a seed for other wheat. The Vechizkiya is learned like this. Pasuk says, "V'chiyazid ish, v'chiyazid ish areyu l'harga v'arba." Somebody tries to kill somebody else. The name is v'chidikchen olamas. So it says, "V'chiyazid ish." Ish mazid u'mazriya. And ish is mazid, and mazriya he could have zera that'll have kids. Vein katan mazid. I'll tell you in a second what it means. And a kid is not mazid u'mazriya and can't have zera that'll be give him kids. Practically, what's going on? I'm like from Rav Mardcha. Rav Mardcha said to Rav Ashi, how do I know that mazid is a lashon of bishuli, of ripening or cooking, which is the same thing, making something royal achila? That Yaakov cooked a nazid.
Different types of positive chiyazid. Talking about
so we're learning of Chiyazid Ish, and Rashi explains that it says a very, very funny lashon. It said a lashon Chiyazid. It should be Chiyarshia Ish. When a guy does a bad thing, what's Yazid? It's coming to tell you a new thing, that a new additional drasha from the lashon Yazid that has to be, so to speak, roi to cook. That a man who's a bar mitzvah is roi to cook, he could make have another kid. But if he's a katan, he can't. So that's how the Beit Chizkiah learns, like Rabbah, that an ish is mazriya, ish is moiled, but a katan cannot have kids. Okay, we're on Samach Testament Aleph, and we're up to about 10 lines down the bottom. 10 lines from the top. The first word on the line is nazid. Now on the side, they add in a word over here, eini. In fact, the Gemara Eini, it's not so. You're telling me that Gemara said until now that from Shitas Rabbah.
We stopped yesterday. We ended yesterday.
We ended on the top of the Amud, but we just did a very quick Chazara because I wasn't prepared so well yesterday. The Gemara has just said, to bring you up to speed, the Gemara just said a machlekes of Chisda and Rabbah. Rav Chisda holds that a katan is, everyone holds that a katan who's ben tes shanim yem echad, he's 9 in a day, is roy for bia. But the machlekes is, can he have kids or not? Rabbah says he can't have kids, and he brings rayas. Rav Chisda says he could have kids. So now, we just said a raya to Rabbah that he can't have kids. In fact, the Gemara Eini, it doesn't say Eini in the Gemara, but it says it on the side. But Tanadre Rabbi Shmuel learned in his yeshiva. Then V'loi Av. It says in the pasuk, Ki'il ish ben tzayir Omer, v'yar pasuk, when he has a ben, V'loi Av, when he himself is not a father. In other words, if the ben tzayir Omer himself has kids, he can't be a ben tzayir Omer. Not the kids. Before we talk about the kid's kid, right? Can't be a ben tzayir Omer. If the father was a katan when he had the kid. Now we're talking about when the kid himself had a kid. So I'll give you a mashal. If you ever have to fill out a financial aid form, they say that if you have any kids, you don't have to fill in your parents' information.
What?
You usually fill out a financial aid form for Pell grants, right? This is the halacha by Pell grants. You fill it out. You have to put in your parents' information if you're a college-age kid. Why do you have to put in your parents' information? Because you're not independent. You're totally in them. But if you write that you have your own kid, you don't have to put in your parents' information because that's considered independent, right? Because you have your own
government program.
You have your own shibudim now. You have your own shibudim on you, right? That's not considered. So it's a mashal. I'm just saying a mashal that when the Tanveri Shmuel is learning that if the ben tzayir Omer himself has his own kid, he's not a ben tzayir. He can't be a ben tzayir Omer. What's the case that you're going to say that this ben tzayir Omer had a kid? Okay, before I say this, let me just explain what's going on here. The Gemara is going to try, it's a little bit of a cheshbon. The Gemara is going to try to figure out what's the scenario that you could have that according to Tanveri Shmuel that a ben tzayir Omer could have a kid and still be ben tzayir Omer. What's the problem? We said in the Mishnah that ben tzayir Omer is only a very small amount of time. We didn't say exactly what it was. We said it was from when he had shtei saras until sheyakiv zaken ataftin. That he has a full pubic hair by Yisranim, which will be later on, but later on shear after shtei saras. We don't know yet exactly how long that is, right? But that's the category. Now, the Gemara's question, the Gemara is going to try to determine, is it possible that during that time, that span of time, he could have his own kid? Because if he can't have his own kid during that span of time, must be he had the kid when he was younger from that span of time. If he's younger, that means he had the kid when he was, let's say, 12. That means, you see, not like Rabbah. You see that somebody who's 12, a kid, could have a baby. Could be a father, right? So that's why the Gemara is coming to say this cheshbon. So let's see it inside now. Gemara says, "Vatan ve'Rishmal ben v'loy av." That ben tzayir Omer is only if he's a ben, not if he has his own kid. What's the case? Maybe he made someone pregnant after he had shtei saras, and then he had the baby, or she had the baby really, before he had full zaken hatachta. In fact, the Gemara you don't have enough time for that. Because how long is that whole span of time? Rav Kruspadai said, it's not a name you see very often, and there's some Girsai say, Amar Rav Kruspadai, Amar Rav Shavtai, like we're going to Shavsai, like we're going to say soon. Kol Yam Shavan Tzayir Omer Inel Gimel Chadash. All the days of Ben Tzayir Omer, we're talking about a time span of 3 months. There's only 3 months that the Ben Tzayir Omer could be a Ben Tzayir Omer. So you can't say that he made someone pregnant when he had shnei saras, and then he had a baby before the pregnant shiach.
It only takes one time to make someone pregnant.
Yeah, but she has to have a baby also. He has to be a father, right? Yeah. So now, how long
is he right to be the father of someone at that stand?
But did he have a baby? Is he a father? We're saying Ben, not is if he's right or not to be a father. We're saying Ben v'loy av. It could be a Ben tzayir Omer, a person could be Ben tzayir Omer, as long as he himself doesn't have a baby, he's not a father, right? So now, what's the case? If it's only 3 months, it means he made someone pregnant when he had just had Shtei Saros. Now Rav Krispedai says, now the clock starts ticking, right? Tick tock, and he has got 3 months. And during that 3 months, that's the only time he can be Ben Tzera. And 3 months in a day, he goes and eats the wine, and he drinks the wine and eats the meat. He's not going to be Ben Tzera anymore. Well, during 3 months, a lady can't have a baby, right? So
he has to be a father, not to be pregnant as someone that is going to be a father.
Right. At least this point in the half. Okay. So must be. What are we going to say? Must be that he made her pregnant. The Gemara's going to say in a second. He made someone pregnant before he had Shtei Saros.
He can be a father.
He could be a father. He made someone pregnant then already. You see, like Rav Chisda, that a person who's 12 or 11 could have a baby, not like Rabbi who says that a katan can't have a baby. That's exactly the right. Let's see it inside. The Gemara says,
is there a difference between someone who's 9 and 12?
No, I'm just saying.
The
Gemara doesn't make any nafkamina between the two. I don't know biologically what the scientists would say. I don't know, but I said 12 because I'm just going back a little bit from the 13. So the Gemara says, El lavdi avar mikamid dlaisi shtei saros. Must be that she became pregnant before he had 2 saros. Va'olid mikamid lakiv zaken, and she had the baby before he had hekiv zaken atachtan v'layalyan. V'shmamina katan ma'ilid, and you see that a katan could have a baby. So what do you see? Not like Rabbah, that Rabbah who said that a katan cannot have a baby. The Gemara says, Loi, no. This is what Rabbah will tell you. Lamdi avar basar dlaisi shtei saros. Really, he got pregnant. She got pregnant. He got someone pregnant after he had 2 stars. And the baby was born after he had attacked him. You do kakash Rav Krispedai. What are you going to do about Rav Krispedai? Rav Krispedai said it was only 3 months. After the Gemara, Rav Dimi came, Amri said, Amri b'marava, ben v'le'heroi l'kreisayav. It's a little like you were saying before, Yitzi. When it says ben, it doesn't ben v'le'av, it doesn't mean ben and not someone who is a father. It means not someone who is roi l'kreisayav. How long does it take for a person to recognize that a lady's pregnant? Generally speaking, it's 3 months, right? So you see that he made her pregnant right after he had Shtei Saros, and then by the time 3 months passed with Rav Krispedai, right, because Rav Krispedai says only 3 months, right, you're able to tell that she was pregnant, and now you know she's pregnant, that means he's right to be a father. Now he's right to be a father, he can't be a Ben Tzera. That's the Gemara's teretz. Okay, now we're going to analyze this a little more. Gufa. Amar Rav Krispedai, Amar Rav Shatai, Kol Yamav Shaban Tzera Meira Ine Al Gimel Chadash Mubay. All the days of Ben Tzera are only 3 months. In fact, the Gemara of Anantanan Mishiyavish Shtei Saros Yaakov Zakin. We said in our Mishnah, this is what we started asking from the beginning, from Shtei Saros until Yaakov Zakin. And that's much longer than 3 months. So what's going on? It's a steer to Rav Krispedai. Krispedai is going against the Mishnah. If the Gemara, no, this is what it means. The Rav Krispedai and the Mishnah are basically talking about 2 separate facets of the same halacha. The Mishnah is saying that if he had hikif zakein, let's say he was precocious, he had a lot of testosterone, he had scared real quickly, and he had hikif zakein even before 3 months, then already he's stuck. He can't be not stuck. He's good. He can't be a Ben Tzera anymore. Or Malu Gimel Chadashim Afgav Leihik. That's what the first one was. The Mishnah is saying. Krispedai is saying he had 3 months, even though it was Leihik. If he's Zakin Atachtim, still he's ready. Too late. Can't be a Ben Tzera anymore. So we're saying basically you can go with the smallest share, where either maximum of 3 months, or if he had Hikif Zakin Atachtim before 3 months, that's going to be his expiration date of being able to be a Ben Tzera. Now, Rav Yaakov and Harpakoid is going to say a very interesting halacha, an extrapolation from this cheshbon we just made. Yosef, Rav Yaakov and Harpakoid. Rav Yaakov from the Harpakoid was sitting. Hamed Ravina in front of Ravina. Rav Yosef V'kamer Rav Shred Rav Huna Breid Rav Yeshua. Rav Yaakov and Harpakoid said the following in the name of Rav Huna Breid Rav Yeshua to Ravina. He said, Shema Mina, Mid Rav Krispedai, Am Rav Shavtai. We hear from Rav Krispedai in the name of Rav Shavtai, Yoledis L'Shiva, somebody who's going to have a baby in 7 months, someone's going to have a preemie, Ein ubra nikr l'shlisha meha. You don't say that her kid or the baby in her stomach is going to be recognizable in a third of the time of the pregnancy.
Because it's very small.
It's a preemie.
It's a preemie, but you could have a happening like this. That maybe
born early or very small in the 7th month.
I'm not sure, but the point is, I hear the question. I can ask my wife as a midwife. But the point of the Gemara of Rav Yaakov Ben is that you could have a happening like this. Normally, a woman starts showing at 3 months, right? And that's for a regular 9-month pregnancy. And you could think that if a lady's having a preemie, she's also going to start showing at 3 months. She's having a regular pregnancy, and then she had the baby early. Or you could say no. A lady starts showing a third of the way into her pregnancy. If she's going to have a regular 9-month pregnancy, it's going to be after 3 months. If she's going to have a 7-month pregnancy, she's going to start showing after 2 1/3 months, right? So where he says, if you say that a baby starts becoming recognizable after a third of her days, Lamali Gimel betrayed till Sasagi. What do you need 3 months? What?
That's exactly regular person needs 3 months. It's actually asks why are you waiting 3 months? Do 2.5 months, right?
2 1/3, yeah.
Whatever. The normal person has a 9-month pregnancy.
So hang on, hold on that thought for a minute. So he's trying to say like this. He's trying to say that in a situation where you have a question about whether or not a lady's going to have a baby, right? If you have such a question, then where would you have such a question? Let's say Reuven was married to Shprinza, and then he was divorced Shprinza. The halacha is you're supposed to wait Gimel Chadashim Lavchana.
From the divorce, when they separate.
I think the halacha is from the divorce. I think so. But these are shilas that come up with Rabbanim more often than we'd like. So they're supposed to separate. She was supposed to separate for 3 months, right? She didn't, and she married somebody else after a bit, right? Now we should be able to say that if she became pregnant now, and it's a shaila, was it from the first one or from the second husband? Then if 2 1/3 months after she divorced the first husband, there's divorce from the first husband, then we say that then we say that it must be that the baby is the first husband's. Because if we say that the ober is nicker after 3 months specifically, then the baby wouldn't be showing till 3 months after she got married to the second one. She got divorced on Monday from the first one, and married on Tuesday to the second one, right? And then exactly 2 1/3 months later, she starts showing. If you say that an ober could be nicker after 2 1/3 months, then maybe it's from the first one, and she's going to have a preemie, right?
Or she's from the first one.
What?
Or from the first one, period.
It's from the first one, right? And you don't know, right? Maybe it's the first one. But if you say that an ober is only nicker after 3 months, I'm sorry. If you say that it's 2 1/3 months, then we don't know. Is it the first one or the second one? But if you say that an ober is nicker after 3 months, then we know it's got to be the first one, because from the second one she wouldn't be showing, even if she does have a preemie. Okay, so now we're saying that he has 3 months during which time that he could potentially be a father, right? That we know he's royally Yisav. So why do we say it's 3 months? Why do we say it's 3 months that he has when Ben Sarah and Meir from Shtei Saras till the end of Rav Krispudai's sheet is 3 months? Why 3 months? We said because after 3 months we could see if he was with somebody, we could see if she starts becoming pregnant. We know that he's ready to be an aunt, right? Why do you have to wait?
the proceeds of the wine, and the wine is a mashke.
So if you're saying Roy L'Kroisi Av, really he's Roy L'Kroisi Av even after 2 1/3 months. So if the point that he can't be a Ben Seir Omer anymore is Roy L'Kroisi Av, then you could say that he should be Pater. And since we don't say that, since we say wait for 3 months, you see that the halacha is that you don't go with 2 1/3. You don't go with 1/3 of the time. You go with 3 months. And if a lady's having a preemie, you say you say that it's after 3 months that she starts showing, and that's why Ben Sarah Moira he has till 3 months. Okay, that's what will come out. That is what Rav. That's what Rav Yaakov and Harpakoy said in front of Ravina in the name of Rav Huna Brei Rav Yeshua. So Ravina wasn't happy for this. Amar Lei, he said to him, I'm not sure I read the last sentence. If you say that an Uber is Nikra in 1/3 of the pregnancy, even though it's not 3 full months, Ramali Gimel, why do you need 3 months? Betray your Tel Sasagi. It should be enough for 2 1/3. Amar Lei, so Ravina said no. Really, you could say a number is nicker for 1/3 of the time, but zil basaruba, we go basarayv to say that normal situation for someone makes something. Yeah, it's a normal. It's a full pregnancy. It's 3 months. So go basarayv. Why are you? Why would you look at 2 1/3 months? Amrua kamid Rav Huna Brei Rav Yeshua. They said this in front of Yehuda Rav Yeshua. He said to them, you're going to go because of the roiv over here, and you're going to put him to death? You can't do that. The Torah says you always have to go v'etzilu. You have to go and find whatever reason you could not to put someone to death. And we saw this a whole bunch in the first paragraph. And you're saying Zilba Saruba, go in front of roiv? Adrua Kamei Ravina. They came back in front of Ravina. Amar Lei, he said to him, you tell me that you don't go Basarayv and Din and Fashis? That's what Rav Yeshua is saying. No, don't go Basarayv by Din and Fashis. No, what are you talking about? We have a Mishnah that says the opposite. We had this Mishnah about 30 blot ago. Somebody said, I saw 2 of them come at the best. We saw Reuben kill Shimon. One says it was on the 2nd of the month, Beis Shvat, and the second one says one says it was Gimel Shvat. The halacha is, we said they do some kayam. As the edus stands, we said that one of them chapped that there was an extra day in Rosh Chodesh, and one of them didn't, and therefore one of them is still going on last month's calendar, didn't chap that there's an extra day, and that he's a day off of his cheshbon. What
happens? They stayed a week. They might know the Chodesh which day it is, but the week they know.
They said Monday versus. They said Beis Shvat versus Gimel Shvat. Right, all in the same week.
One dab and plug the night before.
Okay. So the if you visak daitachleim means a basaruba, and if you don't say that you go basarayv, you say you don't go basarayv. Nema hani dafka kamisadi nakushi udu kamak shiadadi. These people are saying this guy said Beis because he meant Beis Shvat. This guy said Gimel because he meant Gimel Shvat. They both know the Chodesh, and they both know when Rosh Chodesh was, and they're taka not saying the same edus. And Elulav, what's pshat that you don't say this? Mishum Damrin and Zilba Saruba, Go Basarayv, Ruba Inshi, Avdi V'Kofi, Buru Diarcha. And normal people, most people will make a mistake in the calendar for one day because of Rosh Chodesh. So you see, you go Basarayv, and you're going to put this guy to death because you go Basarayv, right? Because otherwise, you could just say, "Hey, these Eidim are no good. They said Reuben killed Shimon. They're arguing. They don't have the dates right. Kick them out of Bezdin. They're not good Eidim, right? But no, we're going to take the Eidim and put the guy to death." Amrab Yirmi Difti Afananami Tanina. Yirmi Difti said, "I'll give you another raya that you go Basarayv for Dina Nefashas." The case is like this. Bashal Shanam V'Yamechad, and we had this. This is a brisa, I believe. It's actually like maybe a Mishnah in Yavamis, but we had this earlier on in the Masechta. Bashal Shanam V'Yamechad, a person who is a girl who is 3 years and a day old. Miskadeshes B'Biyah. She could be Miskadeshes B'Biyah if her father is Meiser to somebody for Kedushin. V'Bala Yavam Kana, and if a Yavam is Baal her, he's kind of her because Biyah is kind of without das for Yibam. And if the father was Makabel Kedushin, and she was married now, and now someone is Mizana with her, they're going to be Chayav al Speishesesh. And she'd be Metama like a Nida. If someone's boiled her and she was a Nida, then it's Metama Mishka V'tachtan Kalyan means that Oichlin Umashkin, not like Zav. The Oichlin Umashkin will become Tameh even through a barrier if he's sitting on something. But by Zav, even Kalim will become Tameh. It's less hard than a Zav, but still quite Chamer, like a Baal Nida. The point of all this is that the biyah of her to her is a biyah. Nisas l'kayin, if she was nisas l'kayin, even though he didn't do any biyah, so it's a nisuin that did not have biyah. A chalas b'truma, the nisuin is enough to be kaveya that she green truma. Ba'ala echman absulin, if somebody she's not married, but somebody who is bayil harsh and she's 3 years and a day, and he's a pasal, let's say he's a chalal or a guy or a mamzer. And he's by her. Paslam and Akuna, he passes her from Akuna, she's not allowed to marry a kain anymore. And if one of all the arayis that are said in the Torah, they'll by her, they'll get killed because of her. The Ptura, and she'll be pater because she's a ketana, right? But Lamaisa, what does it say? It said they'll be chayiv al zeishasish, right? That means we say that if she was married to somebody, her father was Makabel Kedushin for her, right? It can be kesef, it doesn't have to be biyah or anything. And now someone is Mazana with her, right? So they'll be chayiv, and she'll be pater. She's a katana, but they'll be chayiv.
How old is she?
She's 3.5, right? Right? So the guy was Mazana with her. The only reason why he's chayiv is, not that it's a good thing if she wasn't an issue, the only reason why he's chayiv, yeah. But the Gemara is not talking about the morality of it. The Gemara is talking about the halacha of it, of whether or not he's chayiv. So the Gemara says, so the halacha is that he was bail her. Now, since her father was Makabel Kedushin, so she's married to somebody, he was bail in Eshesesh, even though she's a 3.5-year-old. He was bail in Eshesesh, he's going to be chayiv nisa. Right? Frek the Gemara, Vamai, why is he chayiv? Ain ma islandess he. Let's say maybe she's going to be an islandess.
Way too early for that.
Way too early. You can't tell.
What about have the Torah?
I don't see real kedushin.
What?
I don't see real kedushin.
And v'adaita dahachi like kaddish. And because of that, al das that he wasn't a kaddish. Generally speaking, if a person marries somebody. No, generally speaking, Bezdin will cut to Bezdin and say it's a Mekataris, and Bezdin will say you're right. If it turns out she was an islandess, Bezdin will say you're right. He never planned to be Mekadasher. It's a Mekataris. You don't.
Well, Mekataris, they're able to go so far back.
So that's you have to learn Ebenezer for that. I don't know the answer to that, but the Gemara's Pashat, the Gemara's Svara is a good Svara, right? V'adaita dahachi like Kaddish, and he didn't have kedushin, das do kedushin for that. And if that's the case, Lumafreya, he was never married. And if that case, Lumafreya, she was never an Eshesesh, and the guy who was Mazana with her was Pater.
I was talking about a shul.
I was throwing him out of shul too, but the point is that he's not going to get misa. You throw him out of shul, you can't throw him off the cliff for a stila. You can only throw him out plain. So v'roiv nashim. Elalav. So why do you say he's chayiv? Why do you say he's chayiv? Elalav. You don't say he's pater. Elalav must be. That means it's a basaruba. You go basarai. V'reiv nashim lav eilini yisninu. Most women are not islandess. If most women are not islandess, we assume this one's also not an islandess, and therefore the kedushin is a kedushin, and therefore she's an eshesesh, and the guy's chayiv. Where it says, like, no, you don't have to say it's not mochrach. You could say my chayiv Allah diktani. What is the chayiv that it says? Excuse me, in the Mishnah, carbon. Don't let me chayiv a carbon. The guy did it b'shoygeg, and he's not going to be chayiv. But because it's b'shoygeg. We're saying a case that he did it b'shoygeg. And even though maybe she's an islandess, but to bring a carbon, you go basarai. You're not going to kill the guy based on Basaroiv.
It still has to do something.
Because Basaroiv, maybe you'd say, no, you won't kill him because maybe she'll be an islandess, so he's pater. Right? But I'll bring a carbon. Hey, there's no, v'hitzilu ha'eda on a carbon. Right? There's no reason not to go Basaroiv. Go Basaroiv for that, and he has to bring the carbon. That's okay. In fact, the Gemara, you can't say that it's talking about a carbon. It says that the Arayis or Abayil will get killed. Getting killed is not a carbon. Getting killed is getting killed. Right? So we're talking about Bemezid.
They're a carbon.
The Gemara says, what?
They're the carbon.
Yeah. The Gemara says, you're right. But we're talking about that when Mumsan al Yad is talking about a different case. It's when her father was bail her. In other words, if her father was bail her, the Isser that he has, the Chiyav Nisa that he has, is not totally in the fact whether she's married or not. Whether she's married or not, it's his daughter, and he's going to be Chayav. Yeah. So that's what it says Mumsan al Yada. But the case of the potential islandess, where it says Chayiv, that's talking about a carbon. In fact, the Gemara of it says from all the arayis is mashma, even the arayis that come through marriage. Like for example, if a girl gets married, her shver, her becomes asr to her, right? And that's a chiv misa. So kol arayis, so mashma, even those kind of arayis. If you want to still be matchik to say that this could shtim and say that you don't go basaray for misa, but you do go basaray for, let's say, carbon, we're saying, you know what, you're right. Really, maybe she could become an islandess. But why do we kill the guy? Why don't we say he should be pater because maybe she'll turn out to be an islandess, it'll be a mechtais? Because the guy, when he gave kedushin, he said, even if you're an islandess, I'm still makabel the kedushin.
Change it.
No backslash. What?
I'll do that.
If he did it, don't even know if he did it.
Will I do that?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
That's why she saw.
That's why she was even if you're an islandess.
It's a pure review, so that will marry another wife.
You can marry another wife, yeah. So the point is that the Gemara will be matchik to say that this Mishnah is talking about a case where he took away the ability for a mechachtais to happen. Okay. Zak Gemara weiter. Tanar Rabbanan. The Rabbanan learned. It's a weird case. Hamaseilelas b'vna katan. Someone who's meseilelas. What's meseilelas? Rashi says. What? Fondles. Rashi says it's a lashon of pritzas, right? She was misalelis with her son, so it's a lady with her male son, the heraba, and he put his aver into her. So Rashi says either just right, the tchilas right, hara we call it, either just touched her by her or went in a little bit. It's machlekes in Yivamas what exactly means. We had this once already in the Masechta. Beis Shammai Imrim Paslu Nekuna. Beis Shammai says this lady now is considered like a Zaina, and she's passed from Kuna, right? She's already passed from a Kain Gadol because unless she becomes an Almana, right? But if she gets, let's say she's an Almana now, right? Her husband died, and then normally she can marry a Kain now. But over here, he passed her from Kuna. Or if she was married to a Kain in the meantime, this kid's father is a Kain, he would have to divorce her. Why are we bringing this in? Because we're bringing this in because it's going to circle back to our machlekes of a katan when he's roi, the bia works, right? Amar Rav Chiya bar Breid the Rab bar Nachmani Amar Rav Chisda Amar La Amar Rav Chisda Amar Ziri Rav Chiya Breid Rab Nachmani said the name of Rav Chisda. Some say Rav Chisda said the name is Iri. What's the pshat in the machlekes? Hakol moedim ven teisha shanim v'yem echad shbiyas abiyah. Everyone's masking that if the kid was 9 and a day, the bia is a bia, and the mother is pasal. Right? Pachsim ven shmoina. We knew, yeah. Pachsim ben shmoina. Even if it's less than 8, less than 8-year-old, everyone's ma'ida she'ein biyasibiyah. The bia is nothing; it does not count. Machlekes is by a kid who's 8 years old. Veishamei sabri garmin midaris harishayim. Veisil sabri lo garmin midaris harishayim. Veishamei learns. We learned from the original Dairis way back when, where we see that even an 8-year-old was able to have a kid. And Beis Hillel says, no, we don't learn from Dairis harishayim, and say, yeah, maybe that 8-year-old was able to have a kid all the way back hundreds and thousands thousands of years ago, but these days only a Ben Tess could have a kid. I'm sorry, only a Ben Tess could have be a bia, right? Although we're going to see from the Gemara later on that by Deris Hashanim, not only was the bia, but the kid they also had kids. Yeah. Okay. So now the Gemara says Deris Hashanim and Alan. How do you know the Deris Hashanim that they were able to have kids when they were 8? Minal and Doilin. How do you know that they have kids? If you're going to say it's from the following cheshbon, from the pasuk like this. Now we're going to go, you have to fasten your seatbelt. We're going a little bit of a roller coaster ride. The pasuk says, this is Basheva, the daughter of Eliam. The point though, the reason why I bring this pasuk is that she was the daughter of Eliam. And Uksiv, the pasuk says, Eliam ben Achitofel Hagilaini. Eliam was the son of Achitofel. Okay, so Basheva, who was David HaMelech's wife, was the daughter of Eliam, who was the son of Achitofel. Okay, so she was Achitofel's granddaughter. That means that there were 3 generations. Achitofel had one baby, Eliam, and Eliam had one baby, Basheva. Okay, and then Basheva had a baby, Shlomo HaMelech. Okay, so you have 3 generations. If we could figure out the time span of those generations, we could figure out how much time they needed to have a baby. And if it turns out it was 150 years, you have no raya. What if it turns out it was like 15 years? Then you know it's very compressed. It's not going to be 15. That's too compressed. But then you'd be able to see that people could have babies faster than you think. Uksiv, the pasuk says, "Vayishlach biad narasan anavi vayikra shema Yedidya bavur Hashem." Bathsheba, when she had baby Shlomo HaMelech, she called his name Yedidya, friend of Hashem. Uksiv, and it says right around that time when Shlomo HaMelech was born, Vayilish Nasayim Yam was 2 years later. Vayu Goysim Lavishalem. That's when Avshalom rebelled. So Shlomo HaMelech was 2 years old when Avshalom rebelled. Uksiv, Avshalom barach vayilach Geshura vayisham shlosh shanim. After his rebellion was not successful, he ran away to Geshura, and he stayed in Geshura for 3 years. So now Shlomo HaMelech is 5. 2 years from when he was born until Avshalom rebelled, and 3 years after that. Uchsiv in the pasuk says, "Vayeshav Avshalom Yerushalayim." Avshalom sat in Yerushalayim, Shnasayim Yam, 2 years. But he didn't see the king. So now, after Geshura, he had 2 more years in Yerushalayim. How old is Shlomo HaMelech now? Shlomo HaMelech is 7. Uchsiv in the pasuk says, it was 40 years later. Vayemra Avshalom Alamelech, and Avshalom said to the king, El Chana, let me go. The pasuk says Vashalma, but the pasuk is really Vashalein. Vashalma is Nidaresh Nidarti Lashem B'Chavrin, and I will go and pay back my Nidarim that I was Nider to bring in the Mishkan. Uchsev. So now, this 40 years is 40 years after the Bnei Yisrael asked for a king by Shalom Melech. So that's when the 40 years is from. And then the pasuk says, Achitofel saw that I think it was Avshalom didn't listen to his eitzah. He saddled his donkey. He went to his house, to his city. He gave his last will and testament by Yechanek, and he strangled himself. We had the Gemara before that the reason why he did this was because he knew that David HaMelech would kill him, and if David HaMelech would kill him, then Haruge Malchus, his Yerushalayim would not get, all the money goes to the king, right? So his Yerushalayim wouldn't get any money. By killing himself, he made sure that his Yerusha would go to his sons. And the pasuk says, "Anshi dam umirma," people of blood and trickery, they don't live at half their lives. A person lives 70 years, right? And then right? And what's Yachtu Mayhem? Half the years is 35. So a real Rasha dies before he's 35. Vitanya, we learned in a Brisa, called Shneitzer Shal Doyag, Ein El Shleishim Be'arba. Doyag, who was a Rasha, lived only 34 years. Shal Achitofel, Ein El Shleishim Be'shalish. Achitofel lived 33 years. Kam Mehavi Lahu, plus no plus. So you know that Achitofel had 33 years of his life. Dal Sheva Dehava Shlema. Take away the 7 years that Shlomo was alive when Achitofel was alive. right? Because Achitofel was alive during Shlomo. We want to know from from when Shlomo was born back up to, and Shlomo, we're saying Shlomo was 7 when Achitofel went and killed himself now. Okay, so go back 7 years. So now you have Pashtu Esther Meshis. You have 26 years left, right? That means Achitofel Achitofel was 26 years old when Shlomo was born. Shlomo was his great grandson, right? Because Bathsheba, Achitofel's mother, was Bathsheba of Shlomo Melech's mother was Achitofel. Okay, we have to pick it up.